And I have like a big old pimple right there. Like it's just a big guy. Just came out of nowhere. Not welcome, but he's hanging around. If he gets any bigger, I'll have to give him a name. Hi, I'm Kate and welcome to my channel. So I have accumulated several new products in the last 2 months, so I thought I would film just kind of a get ready with me with new makeup products. So I've put a bunch of my new products in one of my Alley Glines bags. So I'm just going to show you quick what the new products are that I will be using today, and then I'm just going to dive right in. So I have quite a few new eye products. I just started using the Juvia's Place eye primer. I have the shade 1. I've really been enjoying this. For eyeshadow, I have the Black Moxy Cosmetics Pastel Obsession palette. I've used this a few times and posted a few looks on Instagram. I'll put a few up here. I've really enjoyed using this palette so far, so we'll see what I create today. And then I also just repurchased the Bite Beauty mascara, something else I'm really loving. I might go ahead and use the ColourPop Bambi lashes. These are also fairly new, so those will be the products for the eyes. And I also grabbed the new Nyx Brow Glue, so yeah. For complexion, I grabbed the Fenty Beauty, what is it called? The Eaze Drop Blurring Skin Tint. So this is the new Fenty foundation. So I grabbed the shade 2. Normally I'm usually like the first shade, the lightest shade, but I did several quizzes looking at what my color match is in different foundations, and every single one that I put, it recommended shade 2. When I compare this to the Uoma foundation that I'm currently using, I don't think the outside isn't really accurate to the color, but it is a decent amount darker than what I'm currently using. So I don't know how that'll sheer out, how it will look. We shall see. So I picked that up in the Sephora sale. I also grabbed one of the Patrick Ta bronzer palettes. So I have 3 of the Patrick Ta blushes, which are similar packaging, just a little smaller. I love his cream products. I've never used a cream bronzer, so this will be my first go at that, but yeah, so I grabbed this. This is the lightest shade. She's statuesque. For blush, I'm gonna use one of my new Moira blushes. These are the ombre blushes. I've been using this quite a bit. I don't know how well that'll focus, but the imprint on there is just beautiful. I mean, you can tell I've already used quite a bit on that side, but it's beautiful. Then I haven't been buying a lot of lip products lately, but I did pick up one of the new MAC lipsticks from the like Cherry Blossom collection. So this is the shade Bloom Box. So it's really springy, pretty coral shade. So if this goes with whatever look I create, I will plan on using this. Otherwise, who knows? All right, for brow color, I'm just going to go in. I have a ColourPop Brow Boss, and this is in the shade Dark Brown. I'm not going to go too bold with the brows today. I want to be fairly natural. Normally I would go in with my ABH Dip Brow, but I just want to keep it pretty light today. And I really don't do anything fancy. I just use this to kind of fill in a bit where it looks a little sparse, a little bit up front. So just really simple. So again, you can kind of see the difference. Nothing too crazy. And I can never get my brows to perfectly match, but it's fine. All right, so I filled in the color. Now I'm gonna dip into the NYX Brow Glue. So this is just a clear brow gel. So again, I've been trying to go a little lighter and softer with the brows, make them kind of a little more feathery, not quite as bold. And I find that this product kind of gives them the lift without looking too crazy. I kind of just brush them up with this, and then I kind of just swipe across the top. And I'm not a makeup artist, so I don't know what the right way, so I brush up and then I just kind of go across the top. That's about it. All right, so dipping into my eye primer. I find with the Juvia's Place, it's really liquidy, so I shake it up before every use. And I just use a finger, and I put a little bit on my finger, and then I start to tap it on the lid, and I just kind of slowly tap it out, and I focus it just on the lid, and then I kind of bring it up to the brow. And then I don't really stress about getting foundation all the way up to the brow, because I do my eyes first, and then it's hard to fit a sponge in there to get foundation there. So if I have this, kind of good enough for me. So I just tap that with my finger until it covers the whole lid area all the way up to the brow. I go down a little bit and on the inner corner a little bit, and that's about it. All right, brows are done, eyes are primed, let's get ready for some eyeshadow. All right, so this is the Black Moxy Pastel Obsessions palette. I've really been enjoying this. I'm not a purple eyeshadow person, but I've really enjoyed using the purple tones in this palette, especially this shade right here. I mean, I don't know if it'll do justice on camera, but it is probably the prettiest, most reflective thing I have ever used. And I've used it so much, I don't think I'm going to make that a feature today. I kind of want to do a more green look. I did do kind of a green and pink look the other day that I really liked. I also have a few singles from Black Moxy. So these are the singles that I have. They're not magnetized, only one of them is magnetic, but this green is so beautiful, and it's just a really rich, pretty green. So I'll swatch it over that. Oh, that's so pretty. I don't know that it fully goes with the greens that are in the palette, but I think I'm gonna go green in some way though. All right, so I'm gonna start with this green, and I'm just gonna start to put that all over. I don't set the Juvia's place. I find that it dries down decently while still having a bit of tappiness, and I like that especially when I'm using softer colors. So let's dive into some green shadow. I'm just kind of gonna put that all over the lid. Normally I focus the first color just in the crease, but I just really want to be green today. I'm just gonna buff out the edges of that. All right, I really like that tone of green. It's really unique to anything I have in my collection. All right, I'm just gonna lay that down a little more in the crease, just build it up a little bit. I did film a first impressions, like 2 looks, 1 palette with this palette. I'm not sure whether this will be up first or that one. But if that's up first, I will definitely link it below if you're interested. And I think I did a purple look, and then I used the oranges with that iridescent shade to create a look. All right, I'm gonna stop there with that. Because it is a pastel palette, there isn't a lot of richness, but I'm gonna dip into that teal and just kind of focus that on the outer part of the lid. Just bring a little bit of dimension in. All right, so that's what we have going on there. So I'm like, on some level I really want to use that emerald green. I just don't know that it goes with this today. All right, where should I go from here? I do have, I think this is the Dawn Myth shade. It's like a green to purple duochrome. That's also super beautiful. Maybe I'll focus that on the lid and pop that emerald green a little bit on the outer part. So I'm just gonna go in with a finger and start to pop that on the lid. So I don't know if you can see that color shift from kind of the purple to the green, but it is really pretty. So I guess we're gonna go fairly monochromatic with that duochrome, if you can pick up on the purple. And then I'm going to grab that emerald shade. It's so soft. And I'm just gonna pop that on the outer part to kind of connect those together into the outer corner. I love a green look. So the other green look that I did with this palette, it was very springy, very like pink in the front, fading into a green. So this is kind of my first solid green look. All right, how are we feeling about that? I know green eyeshadow isn't for everyone. I just really like it. All right, I'm gonna dip back into that teal shade and just kind of buff out the outer part of that shimmer. All right, how are we feeling about that? All right, I really like how those two shimmers are working together. I feel like when Black Moxy puts out their newest, I think it's gonna be a palette, but at the end of the month, I want to pick up a few more of their singles. They have a couple like orangey tone ones that I passed on. These are the ones that I have. I ordered this one, and that one, and then this one came as a free gift, and it's like a pink to purple to gold. It's a beautiful shift. So these I think are really, really stunning singles, and I think they were like $9 a piece, which for a duochrome, multi-chrome is actually really reasonable. All right, so I went off camera and I went in with all of my skincare. I'm not using anything new there. and it's time for foundation. I don't really use a primer ever for my skincare. I use a serum, a moisturizer, and then I go in with my SPF, and then I put a little bit of the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter just on my cheeks and a little bit on my forehead. So I did the exact same routine that I always do. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go in how I usually do. I've been using a Moira sponge, but just to give you an idea of the color difference. So I am a little concerned about the shade match. So the lighter one over here, that is the Uoma foundation that I have been using all winter and I love it. And then this is the Fenty. So it might look like a better match to my hand, but we'll see, because I feel like the Uoma, when it's blended out, it matches my neck like perfectly. So we'll see, we shall see. You know, if it doesn't work, I can return it. I'm not averse to that. So I'm just gonna plop a little bit on the back of my hand and start to go in. Okay, it's like super, super light coverage. All right, I don't even notice it doing much of anything. Like, is it evening out my skin tone even? I'm definitely gonna need more. We'll just kind of put some right on my face. Is the sponge just like absorbing it right up? All right, is it just me or is it just like completely disappearing? We'll try more. I like the Uoma because I go in with like barely any. And I get really good coverage while still looking natural. All right, I'm not sure about the color match. I mean, it looks like it matches my face really well. I don't see any lines forming. I do follow Faces by Gina on Instagram, and she, I think, found kind of the way that worked for her with this specific foundation was needing a couple layers. And I don't mind a natural finish as long as it evens out my skin tone. Okay. I mean, it looks okay. I just feel like my face looks tanner than my neck. We'll see how it looks on camera, but I just don't know about the shade match. I don't know. What do you think? And again, I took quizzes like with several different foundations that I use with the shades that work for me, and every single one came back suggesting this shade. So, yeah. I mean, it looks very natural. I just can't even tell. I can't even tell. All right, for concealer, I've been using the Rare Beauty Concealer in the shade 110N. So I'm gonna just follow my usual with that. A little under the eyes, down the nose, up here, down here, down here. Just bring some brightness into my face. I feel like usually this kind of blends itself in, probably because the Uoma is a little closer to its shade. All right, I feel like my complexion is looking okay. I don't know about that shade. All right, so it's time for some bronzer. So I have my Patrick Ta, she's statuesque, and I've never used a cream bronzer before. I prefer to use a sponge with cream products, so I'm going to dip in. I have another Moira sponge. This thing gets huge, like it fit comfortably in this little egg with room to spare and wiggle around, but you can see like it won't even, these just puff up so nice, so much better than the Real Techniques. So I'm gonna dip in and just take a little bit, and I prefer a nice soft bronzer, like barely noticeable. So I'm just gonna start to build that up. That's really pretty. I don't know how well you can see that on camera, but it's just giving me like the perfect sheer wash of color. It's not too warm toned. I've never used a cream bronzer, so go down here a little bit. And I apologize for all the noise. I think my neighbors are taking advantage of finally having a spring-like Minnesota day. So yeah, lots of things happening outside. All right, I'm just gonna grab a little bit for the side of the nose. That's really nice. Again, I don't know how well that shows up on camera. It's one of those things that like in person I notice a big difference, but just a really soft bronze. Again, I'm used to my Uoma foundation, which is a lot lighter in shade, so I find that the bronzer is a lot more noticeable. I usually use the Charlotte Tilbury, which is this shade, versus that, so I think the Patrick Ta is slightly deeper, but not too much. So I'm gonna go in with the powder on top. I know normally Patrick Ta, I think, says to do the powder first. I don't always. Okay, so that adds a lot more pigment than the cream. So I'm gonna kind of dab that a little bit with the empty side of the sponge. So I think that product is a success. I really like Patrick Ta's cream formulas already, so that's not a surprise to me that I like that. All right, for blush today, I'm using one of my newer products. This is the Moira blush. I don't want to take away too much from the bold eye look, so I am gonna just stick right over here. I have a pretty flimsy blush brush, and then I'm gonna stick over on the lighter side, just pick up a little bit, and just kind of start to build that up out here. So again, not wanting to go too bold with the blush today because our eye look is quite bold. And I have like a big old pimple right there. Like it's just a big guy. Came out of nowhere. Not welcome, but he's hanging around. If he gets any bigger, I'll have to give him a name. All right, so the products are layering nicely on the Fenty foundation. So like, I don't know if it's just like such a perfect match to my actual face that I just don't really notice the pigment. I think it did an okay job of evening out my skin tone. I didn't want anything too heavy. I don't really like heavy foundations. The Uoma works pretty good under the mask though. It doesn't really move around a lot. So it is like pretty matte while still looking natural, but it is lighter because lighter in shade because it matches my neck so well. But maybe because I've been outside a little more with the weather getting nicer, a slightly deeper shade will work well. All right, I'm gonna stop there with the blush. Again, just wanting it to look fairly natural today. Grabbing some finishing powder, going through the face with that. And I don't think I'm even going to bother with highlighter today. I think the Fenty kind of lets that, the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter kind of come through a little bit, so I think we're good. All right, so I'm going to dip back into the palette, grab kind of a flat brush and grab that darkest tealy green shade right here. Just start to build that up under the eye. Alright, then I'm going to dip into the other green shade and just buff that teal shade out a little bit. I think as far as mattes go, this might be my favorite shade in this palette. Although that iridescent shade is for sure #1. I'm gonna go in on the waterline with the shade Zulu from ColourPop, kind of minty teal. And then for the inner corner, I am going to pop into that iridescent shade because I can't help myself. And I'm gonna pop that in right there. Whether it matches the look or not, I really just can't help myself. I'll drag that under just a little bit. Alright, this might be my favorite look I've done with this palette. I'm gonna try to get closer. I don't know if it'll stay focused, but I mean, those shimmers, oh my gosh. Alright, so Again, my liner and mascara and even the lashes are things that I've used already. So I'm gonna go off camera and finish up the eye, and I'll be back to figure out the lips. All right, so I'm back. I went in with the ABH liner. I really like the liner. It's a nice matte liner. I used the Bite Beauty mascara, obsessed with it. And then I did go in with the Bambi lashes. I did have to trim these down. They're just very long, but I love how wispy they are. I mean, I'm not gonna say they look natural because they're clearly false lashes, but they aren't overly thick. Like, they're just a really pretty, like, some longer pieces, some shorter pieces, and I just really like how these lashes look. So I'm feeling this green. This is fun. So I don't know if you can see the shift of that shade in the front. It shifts from like kind of a purpley shade to a green and then into that really sparkly emerald green. I'm really liking this. So for the lips, I'm torn because I really like this beautiful coral, but I feel like it would be too bright for what's going on with this look. So I think I'm gonna go more nude on the lips today. Maybe even like more brown. So I'm gonna grab this CTRL from ColourPop and just go in with a brown liner. And I've used that MAC lipstick, and it's nice. It's the matte formula. I definitely prefer their Powder Kiss formula to that. It's like a really bright, corally summer shade. All right, and then I'm gonna go over that with a lighter nude. This is the shade Mademoiselle from Juvia's Place. For a super brownie nude shade. All right, so here's the final look for today. What do we think? In terms of the new products that I used, I need to try the Fenty a few more times before I really know how I feel. I mean, it seems to have dried down pretty matte, but still looks really natural. I really liked the Patrick Ta cream bronzer. It laid down really nice. It looked really pretty on the skin. The Moira blushes, I've already included those in videos and I'm obsessed. But I think the star of the show really is the Black Moxy products. These mattes are just stunning and these shimmers are just beautiful. I'm really excited to try some more from this brand. And I also really like these ColourPop lashes. Again, not super brand new, but they're within the last like 2 months from the Bambi collection. So yeah, there's my almost full face of new products. Let me know below if you've tried any of these and what you have thought. I would love to know. I would love to hear from you. If you enjoyed my video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.